Everything earned, it is not given.
I've been doing this a long time, and I know for sure, one thing that I definitely know for sure is 100% it's about skill level, how you do your craft, all those things. But one of the biggest things that I see with the most successful hairdressers in the salon industry is authenticity, right? And authenticity really comes down to like, really, it's confidence, right? But it's more about like a deep understanding of who you are, what you're about. There's a video circulating right now on Instagram that is talking about what is different about younger generations adapting onto different like cultural fashions and stuff like that, and it not being really authentic because in the past people really grabbed on to stuff. That video really stood out for me because I totally agree with that. I think that that's totally true. And I think one big, thing about all of this stuff is about digging into yourself. Like, it's kind of a hard thing to do that. And you see this a lot when people talk about branding, right? And what's your brand, man? Do you have your brand? And I think people take that, and even the people that are pushing that take that as this same lady that's talking about in this video, where she is saying, look, you are just grabbing onto the outfit and maybe dressing the part or whatever, but are you really that part? Are you fully invested into that because you inside your soul is about that? Being like that way, especially on socials and trying to build up something like that, whether even with your salon or your clients or however you're building that out, it does mean that you have to like dig into your soul, find out who am I, what am I about, and exude that through your space, whether you have a sweet space or you own a salon or even a stylist, right? But especially if you have a suite or a salon, that space, oftentimes you could tell that the owner and the way the space looks, it's just like an outfit, just like that girl said. They're just putting that outfit on, right? And the space looks like a million other spaces that are out there that we see, the same kind of concepts, the same kind of ideas. And yes, does it look pretty and it works for a business? Of course. But I think what really drives success, especially in this industry, is this ability to like really authentically be yourself and like exude that. It takes a lot of time to do that, but it does come down to confidence, right? But I would say also humility, okay? A lot of humility. I think in order to really dig down inside yourself and find out what you're all about, you are going to get kicked in the face, right? And there is a sense of like getting that humility. So you are going to fuck up in the salon, and you are going to have, bad business deals with salons, or you're going to have unruly stylists that you have to deal with, or you're going to struggle in the industry for building clients, or all these things. Dude, this happens in our industry so often, where we're constantly second guessing. You can have the best business ever, and it's just going to take that one client for you to just go home and be like, that's it, done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm totally over it. It only takes that one time. And so we're constantly getting kicked in the balls, right? And so we have to pick ourselves back up constantly. But that aspect of humility is super important, because I think that I have firsthand experience of this, but somebody close to me. But you get somebody that gets a stretch of good luck, and this is going to be something for like young stylists, or man, even if you're not and you're out there and you're working for somebody like this, okay? When we're talking about authenticity and being yourself and humility, right? And confidence. Some people happen to be very confident with where they are, even though there is literally nothing for them to be confident about. It's almost like a false sense of confidence. And these are the people to fucking stay away from. And this industry is also packed full of these people, specifically salon owners, okay? Because the big goal for this industry, this is an industry where it does attract people that have maybe a high sense of an outlook on oneself, yeah? And, you know, it is big into individualism and different things. So it does attract these kind of people where the goal is to own a salon just to fucking own a salon, right? And the thing about it is like there's a big fucking difference between somebody that worked really fucking hard, you know, as we're talking about authenticity, worked really fucking hard, got kicked down, got back up, continued to push, and built their own place, built their own salon. And somebody that was handed the resources to get that salon, okay? I am not discrediting somebody that got handed it. Maybe things were a little bit easier for them to get to that space. There's no doubt you're still at that space, right? And I will not discredit that. But there is a fucking difference, okay? There's two athletes, let's say. I think about it like this. All right, there's an athlete that worked their whole life to do fucking Ironman, okay? Which is like insane. Training and everything that goes into that. And the other person had let's just say a motorcycle accident, car accident. Loses a leg, goes out, drinks hard, you know, realizes, fuck, I gotta turn it around. I need to turn it around, right? Goes and trains and runs a 5K marathon. Which one is gonna get more credit from the public, from people? For sure, the one-legged 5K guy, 100%. Does it discredit the guy that did a full Ironman, that worked his whole fucking life? No, it doesn't. But there's a sense of humility, right? And like earned respect that people have for somebody that really comes up out of nothing. Even if they end up with something that's super small, it's going to get more like attention than somebody that started with a little bit more. No matter how big they grow, they just ain't ever going to get that same kind of respect. And because of that, they're going to constantly seek it. I've worked for many people like this, and we all know people like that, right? If you are in a salon that the owner is this way, you work with somebody like, get the fuck out of that immediately, because they will just continue to stick their teeth in to everything that they can, micromanage, control everything, because they will never gain that same sense of belonging and respect that they know that maybe this little guy down the street with not the $1 million build out is getting. And that's bothersome, right? And so again, it doesn't discredit or take away from the person that got to that space, especially if they make that place successful, regardless of how they got the resources to do it. But if you are starting with nothing and you are building up, and this is something to think about. This is like my life story, dude. Just focusing on those small goals when you're coming from someplace hard, those can make a huge fucking difference, more than you will ever know. from people around you that will see you raise yourself up out of something that looks very much like the odds are not in your favor, versus somebody where the odds are heavily in their favor. Their achievements are just never going to be the same. Now, out here on pay, all that stuff, it may look that way. But I'm telling you right now, all of us, just regular people, we will always celebrate the person with that grit that puts that in more. And this gets into authenticity, right? You have to really dig into that and not try so hard. I think we all fall into it, parrot, everything out there, especially on Instagram and everywhere, right? Where we see this is the way people are, doing their picture. This is the way they're doing this, and I'm going to replicate that in order to replicate the success. It's like success by affiliation somehow. And people do this with product companies, I'm going to go with Orbay because that makes my salon look expensive. Therefore, I could charge more money. I'm going to, affiliate myself with a certain educator, and on and on and on it goes. And that is not authentic. And that it just will not stick. It will never have the same effect. The thing now that I see is like a huge opportunity is people are in smaller spaces. Like I said in the last podcast, if you have a suite, now's the time to just like go dive in there and treat that like a salon. Put that out there as if you're, a heavyweight, right? Because if this is a game of competing with authenticity, you're going to win. You know what I mean? And it may not feel that way right away, but you will. Especially if you're running your page different. This is what West Coast Blondes is about. This is what my company's about. This is what I'm about, right? Always rebelling, right? I like to be against the grain like that. And that's you have to really dig into that. Whatever it is that you fucking like, just take that shit on and run with it. For me, you have to kind of go all or nothing, and kind of have that confidence. When I first got out, when I was in school, okay, I had 1,000 hours in school. I have this pregnant girlfriend, and she's like, I'm going to go to LA. So I'm like, okay, fuck it. I don't need a license anyways. The world doesn't even know what they're about to see. I go down to LA, knock on doors. I get a job at a salon on Melrose. And I walk in and I'm 18 years old, right? And here I walk in, I get the job, and I start working there with no license. My confidence level was actually like kind of out of hand, right? And it came back and it got me, right? Not a total happy ending to that story. I did have to go. I went back to LA and did it right the next time. But when I was down there, I was doing I had runway model clients. I was doing this designer, some Swedish designer, and I was taking these clients and I was doing services that I was not qualified for. But I was doing it, and I was actually building a clientele. And so the reality is just having that confidence to go out there, you're going to build. You're going to build that way. But I think the thing to really pay attention to just as much is really being yourself. I think a hard part of that is we got to pay the fucking bills, right? And I I knew this dude years ago. Is Indian dude. He was like, you know, he had a restaurant, and he said to me, you know, if you work for money, it'll never come. If you work for opportunity, the money will come. And I always tell myself that when I start to get, you know how it is, we get, you know, a couple cancellations, week starts falling apart, all of a sudden you get a little bit slow. Next thing you go, oh, I'm going to go out of business. I guess you're up all night. I'm like, this is it. I guess that was a good run, I guess, you know. And, you know, you have to, you know, we have to, like, I always have to go back to that and go, no, I just got to go back to the work. And this is what has kept me, I feel, pretty successful the last couple decades, is doing that. Is like, rather than being up all night, like, oh shit, I had a slow week, my whole shit's falling apart, my business is over, you know, and just stressing about that and going to the books and, you know, getting too hung up on the money side of everything. Instead, I go back to that saying, and I think I just got to get back to the work. I got to focus on the work. And I go in and I go, I'm going to knock this client out. I'm going to post that, show some good ass work, you know, and I'm just going to grind back on that. I'm going to start thinking about better ways I can do formulas, I can additives into base touch-ups, whatever. And I'm telling you, I don't know, there's magic to this industry, as we all know. It works. I mean, things change around. All of a sudden you're getting new calls, like clients coming. I don't know what it is, but I think it's about being true to your craft, you know, like being true to what we're doing, you know, and not fucking around with treating this like, yes, this is a business and there's business aspects to it. They're very important. But I think primary is just really focusing in on that craft. And zoning in on something that you're really interested in, because it shifts, you know, at least for me, it shifts all the time. Right now, I'm really been hung up on this, you know, hand painting and balayage, processing through, and then base touching, you know, doing a base touch up, basically like a shadow root smudge, whatever you want to call that shit, right over the top once it's fully processed. And the way I've been doing this is manipulating the bleach, right? And so I'm taking the lightener and I'm adding, I used to use this product a long time ago. I remember my mom introduced it to me. I think it's by a company called Tronics. It's called, there's Higher. That's crazy, okay? I think it's like 60 volume or something. And then there's like Lift Through, I think. And it's 50 volume. Okay, and so I've been adding that with my 40, just like a splash. And the idea behind it is it's so fucking powerful. One, it's going to take your shit quick. You know, they're going to be like blonde, right?